Good morning, a warm welcome to our webinar, The Benefits of Energy Monitoring Control to Deliver Energy Intelligence. My name's Sam Dean and I head up the partner channel at Invensys IMServ. Right, so joining our webinar, I'm just going to go through a couple of housekeeping points, first of all, please. During the webinar, we'll be using audio broadcast. The small box in the right-hand corner will remain open throughout. To chat with the host, click on the speech button in the top right-hand corner, then type in the text box. If you would want to submit a question, click on the question mark in the top right-hand corner and open the question and answer box. If you're experiencing any difficulties, hopefully not, please email marketing@imserv.com or speak directly through the chat bar. Commence. Right, presentation aims and objectives of what I want to get through today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about IMServ. It's not a sales talk, but I'm going to give you a bit of an overview about our heritage and where we've come from and where we are today. I'm going to give you some insight, some Invensys IMServ insight in today's energy management drivers and challenges. And I also want to talk a little bit about a customer-centric step change model that we've developed. This is to get through the monitoring control model via the partner channel. And then to conclude and really to bring it all together, I'd like to go through a number of case studies to give you some examples of AM&T and monitoring control solutions to deliver real value, some customer-centric control solutions to deliver real value. A little bit about Invensys IMServ. We were founded in 1992. UK DCS. We were by the six big energy providers. We were acquired in 1999 by the Invensys Group and renamed IMServ Europe Ltd. Still very proud that we've got a 50% market share of the data collection and meter operations market. Very proud of our heritage, being independent. Just to give you a bit of an idea of the amount of meters that we collect from 160,000 meters, and this equates to a massive 80 billion individual units of energy per annum. And truly independent, we're not connected to any one energy supplier. Our routes to market are via energy suppliers, partners obviously very important to us, and the direct customers. And we're not restricted to any meter manufacturer or comms method. We use a number of different communications methods, from PACnet, PRS, GSM, Ethernet also, which you'll see throughout the presentation. So part of the Invensys Group, a little bit about Invensys, turnover 2.3 billion, 2,000 employees and part of the FTSE 100. I've just got a slide in there just to give you an understanding of the breadth of verticals that we represent within the market. Very strong in the retail sector and the public sector, but across all the different verticals we've got a good presence. I want to give you a bit of preamble to talk a little bit about the energy management drivers and challenges. What's going on in the marketplace? What are causing our customers and the sector's pain? What are the real issues that Invensys IMServ are understanding from speaking to partners and customers? The big one is the raft of legislative drivers that's coming about, and the main legislative changes being the Energy Act 2011, and that was brought about for the proficiency of energy efficiency, not within domestic but the business sector also. And Green Deal is the biggest thing that's being talked about with regard to regulatory changes within the market. Just to give you a bit of an understanding of Green Deal. Green Deal is a new financing framework that enables the provision of fixed improvements to the energy efficiency, again of domestic and non-domestic, and this is funded by a charge on the energy bills that avoids the consumer to pay upfront costs. Also from April 2018, it will be unlawful to rent out any residential or business premises that does not reach a minimum energy efficiency standard. And this sort of like piggybacks onto the EPC, Energy Performance Certification rating. So anything below an E rating, it would be unlawful to rent those premises out. After energy company obligations also, which I'm not going to go into all the detail, but it all surrounds carbon and emission reduction targets, and the community energy saving programme, all focused on improving energy efficiency standards, predominantly on low-income groups and vulnerable groups. And the 35 million of energy efficiency measures that's been brought in by that Energy Act on energy company obligations. It also includes measures to improve energy efficiency and future energy security, whilst enabling low-carbon technologies to be introduced. I'd like you to hold that thought for a minute. When we talk about some of the technologies that IMServ are thinking about in the marketplace for monitoring control, I'd like you to just hold that point. We also have the European Energy Efficiency Directive. Although I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that, it's important that we understand that in the complex of the monitoring control services and products that IMServ are looking at. Although in the early stages, the European Council gave their political agreement back last month, October 2012. And some thoughts are that energy audits will be mandated. There's a big push for policy measures around energy efficiency within the member states. More importantly, what's being pushed is a right for consumers to know what energy they are consuming. Again, hold this thought when I talk about the detail of monitoring control. The bank has looked at committing $3 billion to environmental firms. The government's $3 billion flagship Green Investment Bank is looking to encourage private sector money into low-carbon technologies and green initiatives, and seeking projects. It was formally launched again last month, but that's a phenomenal amount of money, £3 billion to invest in low-carbon technologies. The Energy Technologies Forum, I was at a seminar last month where they were talking about the forum, and this forum is made up of 50% private sector and 50% public sector. And some of the big names, when you're looking at the private sector, talking about not only energy companies, EF, E.ON, Shell, Rolls-Royce, BP, some real names that are influencing some of our policies and some of the technologies that are coming into the marketplace. And what this is looking at is the development of affordable, clean and secure technologies to help the UK meet its 2050 climate change targets. The number one driver of change in energy strategy over the last 10 years has been government mandates. I think that's quite clear. Energy managers today are noticing that the driver of change is regulatory, a lot of legislation that's coming about. It could be ignored a number of years ago, but not anymore. Some of the other drivers and challenges that I've listed there, growing risk of the energy supply over the next 10 years, that's a big priority for government. Corporate responsibility is still something to be looked at, and energy-savvy customers are now demanding a drive for dashboard intelligence, energy intelligence. Volatile energy prices is still a boardroom topic that is being discussed. Again, hold that thought as we talk about monitoring control going forward. New technologies and innovations are changing the building landscape going forward. Smart lighting demand. Costs have fallen by 50% over the last 18 months and are expected to fall further. I think in summary, just to recap on the drivers, we've got legislation, new, cleaner, smarter, innovative technologies, supply risk. I'd like the consumer to have transparency over their energy usage. Massive cost drivers, pound note savings. When I speak to partners or customers, still that is the number one driver, pound note savings, how I can save on my energy. I would say it's a compelling case for monitoring control to deliver real energy intelligence. Now go back to smart lighting demand, something I just wanted to show you. Olympics 2012, was it the greenest ever? That was the aspiration. What's done well? We had the overflow water from the swimming pools, which was used for the toilets, with plenty of solar panels, lots of meters which IMServ were involved in. Visualisation of data was being used via the web, so you could see the energy that was being used at the Olympic Games. However, control problems. The Stratford ticket office, lights on at daytime, and the Paralympic Games, lights on in the daytime at Eton Manor, the wheelchair tennis event. So I think it's still one of the biggest culprits for absorbing energy, and something that we still need to look at. I'll talk about that later within the presentation. Right now that I want to talk to you about is change to monitoring control, a model that's been developed to look at and implement monitoring control to deliver real energy intelligence. The first point is understanding the key customer requirements. What does the customer wish to monitor? What are the key issues? Understanding the customer requirements is imperative to gaining a customer-centric solution. The frequency of data, day plus one, real time. What are the key requirements of the customer? Is it electricity only, gas, water? Monitoring, control. Gaining key stakeholder buy-in, I put that as the next stage, is imperative. Speak to the right people involved, getting them involved in the journey, and I hate that analogy, but involving the key stakeholders early on within the business is crucial. And get buy-in to the issues and the objectives of where the monitoring control strategy is actually going. Looking at the AM&T metering strategy, getting a little bit more detail about the metering requirements. Is the signal where you want to install the sub-meters, for example? My phone signal. Is Ethernet receptive? We've got a number of different solutions that offer Ethernet benefits, but are they receptive within the business? I always suggest field trials, a pilot, to assess the benefits, gain the data visibility, showing it to the key stakeholders, trying it on a couple of sites, and then looking at real benefits, benchmarking them before you go to a full rollout. Analysing those potential savings and benefits and selling it to the key stakeholders. This was the project that we commenced. These are savings, and taking them along the path of the actual model. And the final stage, before you go into a full monitoring and control, you're very piecemeal. We've gone into a pilot stage, you've had a look at the benefits, you've benchmarked them. It's then to have a look at control considerations. And I'll talk about a number of different case studies that will hopefully put that model into more perspective. The first case study that we're going to look at is based around key drivers of energy awareness, for social responsibility, benchmarking, and to use it as an educational tool. And this was on a school, mixture of schools, it was 5 schools, primary, junior and senior schools. Aspirations were to save 5% on energy savings each year till 2020. But also to create an awareness within the schools to the energy being used. So it is very educational focus. One of the things that wanted to be achieved was proactively reviewing progress over the next 3 months. So we identified which departments were using the most energy. As I said, we piloted it on 5 schools, primary, junior and senior. And the solution was a mixture of between 4 and 11 sub-meters that we installed. It was required, so it was done in the school holidays. Real-time data was required. monitoring, no control, and we brought the data back via a central data logger. The output was a dashboard. Just got an example of a dashboard on the screen now, 4 different quadrants, and it looks at the energy that's being used today in the left quadrant. You can also have an energy tip there, switch lights off when the area is not in use. You've got your live consumption feed that you can see. And equally what you can look at and show the real benefits of and get that awareness within the stakeholders, showing that the savings, the energy savings in comparison to last year, last month, over a 30-day period. And that is really a powerful tool that can be used. And you can use that on a plasma, on an intranet, and that's really powerful. And we are monitoring this case study very closely. It's been in place now for 3 months. And the signs are that it's going down really well with the children as an educational tool. The second case study that I wanted to talk you through was an end-to-end case study where we've put in monitoring control. Just to talk a little bit about the drivers before I talk about the case study in detail. Pound note savings, retail, pound note savings, raw savings, ROI, a big key factor to gain funding. And we use a range of BEMS controllers for this case study. The controller that you can see there, number of configurable inputs between 4 and 22, outputs between 4 and 12, comms, using the internet to configure and commission the BEMS unit, a web portal internet to be able to view your energy consumption. And talk a little bit about what we actually control. Submeters, doors, ventilation, aircon. Also had sensors on the external temperature and internal temperature, and an override switch also. The heating and cooling were both working flat out and against each other. The type on the panel was being overridden by the staff within the retail outlets. The air conditioning was very sophisticated. Just to go back to the diagram, the green arrows show the inputs, the red arrows show the outputs which we actually controlled. And the lighting policy within this retail case study, 40% of the lights were used when not open and controlled by staff, and 60% of the lighting were used during trading. One of the things that we did do, which I found quite interesting when getting an update from our technical people, is that we put a temperature switch could be used by the staff to be altered. And they altered it, and then within a 5-minute delay it went back to 22 degrees. So there was a bit of a placebo effect as well that was going on there. So how did we do with this case study? So we commenced a pilot with 18 stores, a mixture of different sizes and ages, to trial the actual concept. Monitoring mode was for a period of 4 weeks, and then we moved to a control mode of 2 weeks. And the average savings that were achieved in total, 13%, predominantly lighting, HVAC 46%, full aircon control 57%, on-off air control that was being used 41%. Monitoring and feedback from the case study, 9% savings overall. And this resulted in an average payback of 18 months, with the larger medium stores achieving a payback ROI of 14 months. For instance, just a little bit about the store's design, very consistent. Overall it was a 2-year and 18% savings overall were made. When we went to roll out the actual retail case study that I'm going through now, no surveys were done, very generic, consistent store design as I mentioned in the previous slide. It was an energy performance contract and model. It's important to note that. Overall portfolio 400 stores, and we rolled it out to 250 44 stores across the UK and Ireland, large and medium. The installation period took 5 months, to term at 18% savings overall. Just going back to talk about that second case study, that retail case study, I will then link it into some development that we're also doing on BEMS because of what we found from the case study. The third case study that I wanted to talk to you about was an manufacturing industrial plant. And those were based on pound note cost savings, energy efficiency, transparency of asset efficiency and operational efficiency. On this particular case study, we installed 21 submeters. The communication method was GSM. Operational performance was 24/7, important to note. Production planning and benchmarking was key. And the things that we had with rolling this monitoring control case study out was the operational activities. Operation downtime was a key challenge for us, 24/7 as mentioned. Behavioural changes, getting the staff and stakeholders involved in different changes in the decision making to be able to compare the different manufacturing plants against each other to get the best benefits. Going back to that second case study, I talked about we rolled out 244 BEMS systems over the 400 portfolio. What led us to believe that the smaller sites, back to the micro BEMS, I'm going to give you a little bit now of an insight into some of the development activities that Invensys IMServ are working on. Yeah, go back to the second case study. There was a selection of sites with a spend we weren't able to justify the payback ROI method. This led us to look at a micro BEMS offering and solution. And when I talk about micro BEMS, what I'm really focusing on is all simple sites, limited I/O, limited control strategy, very price sensitive. These sites typically average energy spend of between £5,000 and £7,000. We then led us to look at this option of developing micro BEMS, and we've got a development project now taking place where we're working on the functionality, the branding, and innovative commercial models that also support the micro BEMS solution. We did the market evaluation initially, also based on the second case study. There was 4 prime areas that led us to believe looking at a micro BEMS solution, and that was heating, aircon, lighting, and small power. By small power, we're talking about processors, vending machines, etc. And the hardware configuration was universal I/O, digital inputs and outputs, well under development at the minute. One of the things that we are looking at as well is the branding of this micro BEMS solution. If you want more details about this, please either contact myself, or I do believe there's a future webinar that's taking place. If you go onto the IMServ website, you should be able to get some more information. But I just wanted to whet your appetite and talk about how we extended our BEMS offering, moving more down the value chain. BEMS optimization to maxi BEMS, mini BEMS, and now a micro BEMS solution. So hopefully over the next couple of months you'll see a raft of information coming about micro BEMS. And I wanted to put this slide in place to talk about our bureau offering, which fundamentally supports monitoring and control. If you go back to the journey that we talked about, the step change model, more into a control offering, a bureau service, whether it be self-serve or whether it be managed and outsourced service, is fundamentally important to a control strategy. And all I want to show you on that particular slide is what the bureau model consists of. Rule optimization, alerts, getting email alerts, fault management, service desk, and technical support. And you've also got across the top the different levels of service that can be provided for a bureau model to support a full monitoring control strategy. So again, when you're talking to your customers, is understanding, going back to that step change, understanding the key requirements. But my experience tells me that the latter part of the monitoring control strategy is where this would be crucial. So going to the real crux of it now, the importance of energy intelligence. I don't think there's any customer or partner would say the meter or the BEMS unit or the control mechanism is the real importance. What customers want to see. Back to that real thought of the legislation issue that we talked about in the challenges and drivers, is the intelligence, the data intelligence, having a look at the data, being able to benchmark the information. And that's what monitoring control really gives you. So you can historical, real-time data displays, report intelligence, and keeping it simple. Our new EDV development has got two different phases. The first stage, you can see the consumption, a couple of reports, a simplistic dashboard, and that's simple data intelligence, being able to do comparisons of data, normalising the data by bringing in ambience, weather, production data, etc. A bit similar to the industrial case study that I showed you. Being able to have a look at ROI, payback analysis, that's quite crucial. And access, being able to see your energy intelligence at a touch of a button. Automatic threshold alerts, so for example, fuel monitoring, that one of the monitoring control solutions that we implement, we can tell you when your fuel tank is running at a certain level. And board intelligence, like the first case study, getting the buy-in of key stakeholders, showing your customers, your suppliers, what you're actually achieving. In summary, in summarising the webinar today, there is a bigger picture. Energy management has definitely come a long way, but it's still got a long way to go. Supply risk, changing the role of the energy manager. Dantic's quote, humble energy manager cannot mitigate energy production risk. That's quite a crucial point to note. Sustainability is a real hot topic now. But when we've been to a number of forums, it's not sustainability that's causing the real issue, but it's how we get there that's causing the real challenges, the fundamental practical elements of delivering sustainability. Positive drivers are dominating the energy strategy. We talked about that in the first couple of slides. And I think this is a crucial point that not a lot of people are aware. It's a typical electric cost for utility. It's the lowest cost, but primarily it's the highest cost saving per site. And not forget about water. We're seeing a lot of demand for water AMR within Invensys IMServ. ROI is still the biggest driver within today's businesses, and typically now challenging not 2 years, but typically demanding an 18-month payback. To leave one final thought for the webinar: metering monitoring is not the prime importance, but it's the data intelligence that delivers the real value. Thank you.
Okay, we're just going to take some questions, Sam, if that's okay. We that have come through. First one is, what types of commercial and contractual models underpin the partnership relationship?
That's a good question. Going back now to the partnership focus of this webinar, there's two particular commercial models that exist for partners today. And they really are based on the role the partner wishes to take with its customer base. If you want to take more of a hands-on approach, it would be a framework type model, so a model that exists between IMServ and the partner. And then the contractual relationship would be underpinned between the partner and the end customer. The more popular second model that we seem to favour is the introducer model, where the relationship is between IMServ and the partner introduces customers to IMServ, and the contractual piece How it differs is that IMServ manage that relationship, and there's a kickback for the partner.
It's very comprehensive. Another one's come through. From the presentation, it identified a number of M&C solutions. How does the partner know what will be the best M&C solution for a specific customer?
I suppose back to that model that we went through, if I can just go back to that slide, delivering energy intelligence. That's why at the first stage it's key to understand those key requirements. When I've gone to partners and we've gone through an overview of the services, getting that knowledge base transferred over is a key challenge. So to answer that question, it's understanding the key requirements of the drivers, the issues, what the customer actually requires, and we can provide some assistance with that.
Okay, and another one, with the aim of bringing new sub-metering or M&C opportunities to IMServ, what questions as a partner do I need to be asking my customer base?
I think some of the key questions that you need to understand is, again, it links really into the last question, is understanding what they want to monitor: gas, electricity, water, what communications method are they receptive to? Are they receptive to Ethernet technology? And we've got a prerequisite sheet that anybody that would be interested in, I can forward that to them, and that would probably summarise that question for you.
And how easy will it be to access my consumption data?
Oh, that's a very straightforward question. Very easy via a web browser.
Oh, great. And I think one final question. What would be the typical price point?
That's what I can really answer, because every site is very different. If we're talking about sub-metering or BEMS, real monitoring or control, very bespoke. But we do offer a desktop survey or site surveys where we can give more comprehensive pricing.
Okay. And just more, I think.
What size business manufacturer does the legislation apply to? Right, yeah, well, it applies to all the business sector, whether it's small business, SME, medium or large.
Okay, I think that's probably all the questions in for today. I'll just pass back to Sam to close.
Yes, thank you very much for your time today. If you've got any future questions or details, please contact marketing@imserv.com. Reading this from a slide, which you might guess, or at sam.dean@imserv. Thank you kindly for watching and listening to me blabber on for 30 minutes. I hope you enjoyed the 7th webinar. Thank you.